The year was 1992. I just had graduated U.S. Air Force UPT. That stands for Undergraduate Pilot Training. I started out in T-37s, finished in T-38s. Very stoked, hard program. Glad to be done. Mrs. Nut and Fancy was with me the entire time. So was Tactical Doodle. So with this steady job, having graduated, I went through survival training, SERE training, water survival training, and then I went through some other courses, assigned KC-135s up in Minot, North Dakota, and T-38s. I was happy. That being said, it was time to build the armory now that I had a steady job. I had steady jobs before, but, this was more of a career, and it was. Granted, it didn't pay that much. $700 every 2 weeks, take home. Hard swallow. But it was a job with guaranteed pay increases, and so I went to shopping. And the first semi-automatic combat shotgun I bought, which had been on the list for quite some time, was, you guessed it, I've talked about it a lot in the reviews on Tabletop here in the TNP bunker, safe and sound in the great state of Wyoming. Talked about a lot, the Benelli Super 90. If you could have seen how happy I was the first day I took that Super 90 out and shot it, I was giddy. I was so stoked. Because back then there really weren't a lot of, I would say, combat rated semi-automatic shotguns. You had the Remington 1100, which had issues. It would clog up after a lot of shooting. It really wasn't set up for that. It was a hunting shotgun. Couple others, but I had my mind on the Benelli. I got it. I ended up having two of them over the next, I would say, probably 10 years. I ended up selling that one. I wish I never had. It was an inertia-driven shotgun, and that was good in some ways, and it was bad in others. But this is going to be related to that shotgun, and I tell you that story to let you know that my first combat 12-gauge shotgun, semi-auto, was Italian, Benelli. And here we are reviewing Beretta, Pietro Beretta. I think I said that right. We're reviewing Beretta. Finally, by the way, I'm so stoked to have received this gun. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm so stoked. I've had on my list of guns to review the 1201 FP, the police 6+1, also inertia-driven, recoil-operated combat shotgun that served, I wouldn't say a lot, but a fair amount of police departments in the day. I never was able to get a 1201. I wanted to buy one and just have it in my system and as a cast member, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to now. So here's the gun. It is a Langdon Tactical modified Beretta 1301, gas operated, so it's not inertia operated anymore. Gas operated, gorgeous shotgun, don't you think? Really cool. Here it is in the bunker. All my shooting is complete, and boy, did I shoot it a lot. Oh my gosh, I'll tell you now, I just love shooting it. It was so fun to shoot. Okay, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to features. How did it shoot? Were there any problems? That's when that comes up. And then would I buy it? Okay, but before I do that, I want to thank the donors for this review. I know I say that all the time. It is literally the truth. They pay for the gas, the food, the ammunition, of course, of which I just spent $11,500 on ammunition. That's no joke. Go look in the Patreon environment. You'll see what I'm talking about. I showed you a picture of it. But in that group of ammo were some match bullets, 10 millimeter, 44 mag. Stuff's expensive. Ammo really hasn't come down. And I buy it all. I don't have a sponsor. Donors bought that. But beyond that, thank you very much for being a long-term donor. Double check your payment method, by the way. Patreon's been rejecting payments, so fight your way through that. The whole thing. I'm going to contact him about it. I got this gun from a long-term TNP donor, Robert Avery. So thank you, Robert. Now, before maybe some of you get really excited, especially if you're in the donation environment, Patreon, and you start messaging me and go, oh, cool, I want my gun reviewed. Here's the deal. This, again, was a gun I had on the list for some time. Maybe not the 1301, But I had referenced as a competitive option and talked very favorably about it, the 1201 FP. I think I told you guys that in the days, right? So Robert watches the content, he watches the flow. He knew I had my eye on reviewing the Beretta semi-automatic combat shotgun. In a broad stroke, that's what we're talking about here. Maybe not the A300, but this one. So he contacted me and said, dude, I got a 1301. Do you want to review it? And of course, I jumped at it and said, yes, thank you very much. Send it to Gunny's, which he did. He's been very patient with me. Thank you, Robert, because I have a lot going on. So it's taken me some months to get to this gun. But this week has been really busy with this gun. It was shot a lot, too much, frankly. But this is from on loan. This is not my gun. This is on loan from Avery. I'm going to send it back to him with some goodies as a kind thank you very much. He's a long-term donor.
That's low base.
So you'll see him in the comments. Thank Robert for the gun. Now, as a kind reminder, maybe you guys are saying, yeah, I want to send you my gun. Can you review it? I generally don't like guns being sent to me. There's legality problems. I've had guys send me guns that aren't even legal where they live, and when they get sent back, they get in a holding pattern in their FFL, because I always have to obey the law. I do. So it does not get sent back to you. It gets sent back to an FFL. I have to do that. And so that was a huge issue. So, and not just that, it's just a lot of time and expense. I generally don't like it. And shipping them back is a big pain in the ass as well. But as a kind reminder, the following things are always gratefully accepted in TNP. Number 1, ammunition. Number 2, more ammunition. I'm talking like cases. 5.56, 7.62 51, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, 44 mag, 357, 38 special, 9mm. Boy, do I go through thousands and thousands of rounds of 9mm. 380. You get the picture. Hot women. You can send hot women if you'd like. Here's one right here. New to the project. You can send that. This actually showed up in the mail. What? I was joking about the hot women thing, and then one showed up. You guys just crack me up. You're so funny. Well, maybe more someone along the lines of hot Sonia, or red Sonia, like that. I'm kidding. You don't have to send me to that. But, and money. You can send me money anytime. I'll just use it towards project. Enough of that. Thank you to the donors. Become one. Think about it. And on we go with the Beretta 1301. Philosophy of use is just a super reliable, bet your life, 12 gauge, semi-automatic, tube fed, semi-automatic combat shotgun. And I throw that combat in because it really differentiates it from hunting guns to me. That's all I'm talking about. That it's meant to run full power loads, double aught buckshot, number 4 buckshot, slugs, and hopefully, if it has a proper gas system in this situation, it can run light loads as well. And I've always thought that to be a challenge with shotguns. Let's go back to my Super 90, my Benelli Super 90. That's why I sold it. Because I found, even though Benelli had said, hey, with I think 1 1/8 ounce loads or higher, it will operate reliably, I found that was not the case. That it would actually have a lot of stoppages, even if I held it very firmly. If you haven't shot an inertia shotgun, semi-auto shotgun, you got to hold it really tight. You can't let it buck. You got to put it on the shoulder or hold it tight. And my first one had a pistol grip, so that wasn't too big of a problem. It would stop all the time. It just would not run bird loads. So I had to spend my very limited funds, I've established that, on either high base pheasant or buckshot loads. And so stupidly, I was tight on cash at the time. I sold it. I wish I hadn't, because it's a great shotgun as long as you feed it right and know how to operate a Super 90. Later, the M1, M3. Love it. So we're going to get to how this shot. And if the gas system on the Beretta 1301 is adequate for that wide spread of payload, I'll call it, that is shot, and powder equivalencies, it's a hard thing to do. Now, go check out my Mossberg Jerry Mikulik 940 Pro review. That is an outstanding shotgun, American made. And I think, and in that review, I kind of focused on the competitive aspect of that gun, because that's how Jerry and Mossberg set it up, is high rounds counts, wide variety of loads, self-cleaning, high durability. But in my mind, competition and combat shotgun are basically the same. they meet right here. They're the same. The requirements are the same. You don't want parts falling off the gun. You don't want things coming loose. You want high reliability. You don't have to clean it all the time. And you want it to be able to just chug through any kind of load you really put through it, right? On we go. So that's philosophy of use. You guys get it. How about we go to features? The interesting thing about this gun, again, sent in by RA, I'll call him Robert Avery. Thank you very much, sir. Is that it is very expensive as he got it. Now, a normal Beretta 1301 Tactical retails for about $1,330 at the time of this filming. That's not cheap. But most of the combat-oriented competitive options, or I'm sorry, competitive focused shotguns are going to be about that same price. So that's not outlandish. They also have a 1301 comp, about $1,200. I mention this to let you know that even if you don't send it and get it modified, you're looking at a kind of a pricey shotgun. But as he did it, this gun is over $2,000. And sorry, Avery, if you don't want the world to know it, but they can go to the website and check it out for themselves, so that's really no hiding it. Let's see, $2,164 to be exact, after everything that they've done to this gun. I guess the downside to this GRV, I should say SRV, shotgun review video, is that I don't have the Beretta 1301 stock one to show you and to talk about. I have researched it. I know their forearm's pretty good. But as you can see here, this is equipped with Magpul Zukov furniture. So this is not a stock Beretta. Okay, so just, it is what it is. We're going to, at the end of the video, I'll let you know if I would do what Robert ended up doing, just sending this off and get it. Actually, I think you bought it direct from Langdon Tactical, which, by the way, is in Mesa, Arizona, and they have a very excellent website. They're not inexpensive, but that's their prerogative. If they're putting together good work, guys can charge whatever they want, and I say more power to them. So, different gun. For instance, this is bronze Cerakoted. I don't think Beretta offers that finish whatsoever. You're going to get it in just black park is how it's going to come to you, or black matte bluing. I don't really have a problem with that at all. I think this one is extremely good looking, as we've established. As soon as I took it out of his case, I was like, holy cow, that is a really cool shotgun. And it, for me, immediately I said, this is set up exactly the way I would want it set up, with maybe one or two minor variations. So let me rip through this kind of quick of what Langdon did to this gun. And I may make some mistakes here, but I don't really care. I don't think you do either. Now, a regular 1301, from my research, is also 7+1, just like this. But they have put on a different mag tube. This is a Nordic Components magazine tube and probably a brace on there. This is their own fore-end adapter, so it can run the Zukov fore-end. Magpul fore-end. I actually like these a lot. I mean, they're long, gives you a lot of grasping service. I guess if there's a criticism that I could apply to this on a shotgun, we've reviewed multiple times the AK Zukov stocks, right? The one thing I would say about this is it gives you good traction right here, even with gloves, but it's not like ultimate traction. Go watch my FNSLP videos and you'll see a fore-end that is checkered properly. Getting back to the stock Beretta 1301 series and maybe the A300 also, what you might have is better traction here because of the checkering. That being said, I love the Zukov. Lot of grasping area. And then it's flanged here in the front and back, which is a huge plus. Ventilation. And I believe those are M-LOK compatible to those slots if you want to slam a light on there. Try it. I say try it because anytime you put something on a shotgun, you might be surprised how it flies off or loosens up. It's voice of experience over decades and decades and decades. It's hard to keep stuff on shotguns. This one being a semi-automatic, less recoil, you have a better chance of making that happen. Back to what Langdon Tactical put on. So that's a triple G 6-shell side saddle, very stiff. You'll probably see somewhere in the insert video that I actually sprayed it with WD-40 to get the damn shells out because it's really not broken in. I think if you, and Langdon actually talks about this on their website. They go, hey, it's going to be stiff at first. I think if you store shells in there, it's the polymer, and that's what this is made out of, will probably slightly loosen over time. It'll be easier to get out. And there's probably some competitors, 3-gun guys that have pro tips on how to do that. But I found that once I put some WD-40 in it, which by the way is all dried up and gone now, it worked a lot better. I was pulling some shells out of there during testing, but it's more of a hassle to do it because I'm going through so many rounds. It's like double loading a gun. I mean, so some guys will say, why aren't you, when you're testing your guns, why aren't you like pulling shells from the vest? Why aren't you using a speed loader, not a speed loader, but a shell holder on the belt? I do have several of those. I have modeled them. The answer is it's just double loading. It's more time. I'm going through, 200 rounds in a session. I'm just pulling them out of the box and just going through them. Instead of putting them in the side shell and then pulling them out, it's just kind of some bull crap there. Okay, so they did that. Now, I don't think that is a Beretta rear peep sight. I could be wrong. It might be. But that is not the one that was on the gun. I actually installed that in field. I'll get to that when we get to how did it shoot. And then I think that is the stock front sight, and I think that does have a tritium. No, that one doesn't. The A300 has a tritium dot. That one doesn't. Winged front sight. Then we have a Magpul stock on it. And that is a Triple G stock adapter. And let me show you this right now. So this is going to be a ding on Langdon. Langdon, you're probably going to watch this, but you're charging a lot of money for this gun. I just shot it. I could have corrected this before I brought it to review, but I wanted to show you. The stock actually came loose during shooting. Look. Is that a huge deal? Not really, but it shows me that Langdon didn't Loctite it. Blue Loctite it would not red Loctite it, but blue Loctite is more than sufficient, and that would have prevented this. That's kind of some BS right there. That on a $2,100 gun, I had the stock come loose. I was shooting a lot of buckshot. In fact, I shot mostly buckshot out of this. Thank you, donors. Okay, a trigger job was done on this too. So I think the trigger, did I measure it? No, I didn't. I'll tell you, it's pretty awesome though. Trigger job on it, and then they have a magazine follower in there too. I think that's a Triple G. No, it's a Nordic component one. And I think that's it. There you go. They had a rail that come on it too, so that's the Langdon Tactical. Now, again, it's a little bit confusing reviewing this one and then going back to the OEM one. The OEM one does have, I believe, a Picatinny rail. I think it does have a rear ghost ring sight like this one. I apologize. I don't know if it's fully adjustable like this one. I'll tell you this one. If this is the Beretta one, I very much love it. So it has a plastic sight on it, and I know Beretta does like using plastic. They say it's just as strong and it's lighter weight and it's more cost effective. I have no problem. This is a plastic-based winged ghost sight. I think this is the Beretta one that came on the gun. That would be my guess. I guess I could look, see if it says anything on there, but I don't really detect it. Now, speak of the devil, I said 1301 Tactical. That's what this one is. At least it started out its life as that. Now, this charging handle, I think, is stock. I don't think they put another one on there. It's an outstanding charging handle. As soon as I took it out of the case, I was like, man, that's how you do it. That is just really a good charging handle. It's out there. It's like skying out there, but dude, it's awesome. It's conical, smooth, didn't come loose. Look at the action release button, how long it is. That's over 1 inch long, polymer covered. That is a great action release button. So again, philosophy of use, we're talking combat and competitive shotgunning. They're one and the same in Nut and Fancy's mind. These are really well thought out features. The magazine button, look how big that is, how oversized that is. Easy, so it's right where your index finger is if you're right-handed. Dude, outstanding. Here's where you're gonna load the shells. It is chamfered somewhat. You can see it's channeled right there. I think they've had some competitive shooters help them design this, so they gave their direct input. I think one of them is a girl who competes very nicely. Jessica, I think is her name. I don't know if she had an input on this gun. I know she did with A300. But this whole gate right here and carrier is outstanding. And then this has a European system of shell drop, if you don't know what that means. Like if you load the magazine with 7 shells and then you rack the bolt, okay? And we've talked about it, but a lot of guys don't know this. You're not going to load a shell. You actually have to drop a shell with your release button right here. See it right here on the carrier? So you go like that, click, and a shell drop, and then it releases it out of the tube, and then you can load it. Interesting. Again, really nice trigger on this. It's one of the best shotgun triggers I've ever tried. And Langdon says they do the work on that, so I'm going to give him big kudos for that. Here's your butt pad. This is on the Magpul furniture, of course. Rubber, it needs to be taped. Robert, I would tape this with electrical tape. I should have done it for you, but I was just a little bit busy. You can't really get better than this pistol grip on the Magpul rear stock. It's fantastic. So, again, when I took this out and I saw that it was equipped with Magpul stuff, I was just so excited because I just love it. It's probably how I would equip the gun. Let me put an asterisk next to that. I'd have to shoot it out of box. And if I found the stock to be adequate, like I have with the competitive option, I may have just left it. And we're going to come back to that too when I ask you if I bought it, or if I would buy it. Now, let's talk about the gas system on this. I'll probably show you a picture. So this is a 2-port gas system, I believe. It's bled off the barrel. And then that gas will bleed back. It will impinge upon the piston, which is in there, which will impinge on the charging handle assembly and eventually make its way back to the bolt, which is shown right here. Rotating bolt option, just like, what do you know, a Benelli. There you have it right there. You can see the bolt, and everything's chrome lined, barrel's chrome lined. The receiver inside is chrome lined. Aluminum receiver, by the way, thank you very much. The bolt locks up into extensions into the barrel to save weight. Here's, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I didn't really get a manual for this, and I'm going to ding Beretta on this, that they do not give you a paper manual with this gun. I know this because I would have received it, because Robert did a great job sending me everything he got with the gun, and there's no manual there. And lo and behold, I see one of those stupid QR codes you have to scan. It says, hey, just go online and get a manual. Another thing that irritated me is when I went and looked at the manual for the 1301, it's showing it's just a generic 1301 manual. It's not for the tactical. Blah, blah, blah. I wasn't over impressed with this. I think you should always give a printed paper manual with your firearm. Yeah, I know a lot of guys lose it. Oh, well, you should still do it. I hate going online and getting manuals for cars, motorcycles, watches. Just give people a damn manual and print it out. Give them a brochure, too. Brochure, especially for cars. You ever go to a car dealership and you go, hey, do you got a brochure for this Honda? And they're like, no, we don't do that anymore. Why? Because they're too cheap. That's why. Yeah. But back to the gas system, I was like wondering, is this thing adjustable? Or is it a self-adjusting gas system? And that's what it is. So it's designed to off-bleed, I will call it, excess gas and self-clean the piston. The piston ring around it, the seal is actually kind of serrated, so it's designed to get rid of carbon buildup after each shot, and it'll vent it out, well, what do you know, the front end. So there's no adjustment to it. Am I happy or sad about that? 7 in the pipe. Well, I'm actually happy. I think that's the way of most shotguns nowadays. Jerry Miculek, it's probably Miculek, I think. His shotguns, the Mossbergs, are the same way. They're self-adjusting. Now, my older FNSLP has a light piston and a heavy piston, and the user has to take the whole front end off and exchange them. That's the technology when I bought it. But the upside to that is I just keep the light piston installed, and it works with everything. Again, go watch my FNSLP. A discontinued shotgun. Actually, mostly discontinued. They have some variation of it out there, but it's not as good. Okay, so non-adjusting gas system. The nice thing about this gas system, other than it not being non-adjustable, i.e. easy, is that it's very soft. When shooting it, I was amazed at how soft shooting this thing was, even with high base loads. You may hear me talking in the overlay video, and some guys want me to post separate videos. No one ever watches those, but I'm always talking to myself and actually to the audience when I'm shooting these things. And I was probably saying, man, this thing is super soft and it's really fun. I'm like, I love this gun. I love shooting it. It was fast, and damn, is it fast. Really fast. Beretta brags about that, though. They say it is 36%, something like that, 36% faster than most other guns. The blink gas system is what they call it. And I will sign off on that. It is one of the fastest semi-auto shotguns I have ever shot in my life. And that's saying something because I've shot a lot. So really good job on that. And by the way, cold hammer forged barrel backboard for that too. That might contribute to some of that softness. And we have a screw-in choke system right here, Beretta style. I think I have the modified in that one. We'll get to that one, talk about how it's shot. Oh, and on this stock, you have a spacer system so you can adjust a drop and comb on it. And the stock one does as well, the Beretta 1301. What did I miss? Probably something, but I don't want this thing to go like an hour. Oh, the weight. 7 pounds, 3 ounces as configured. I think it's lighter than that, like 6.5 pounds out of box, but I could be wrong on that. I know the 1201 FP, the recoil-operated predecessor to this shotgun, was very lightweight, 6.3 pounds. The downside to that 1201 FP is it would kick like a frickin' mule. And it was just like my Super 90, my Benellis. They would do the same thing. And I used to shoot 3-inch buckshot on that. And this is 3-inch capable. I was just running 2.75-inch shells, 2 3/4 inch. Yeah. Great looking gun. I think I got stuff. Oh, Langdon talks about this foreign adapter. I guess this is a second gen. The other one had like some steps on it. And so this is smooth and it doesn't have any, ridges that could smack your hand or something, I guess. And by the way, Robert, I did put some desert scratches on it for you. You're welcome. Not intentionally. I didn't do it intentionally, but when it's bumping around, the Wolverine dropping in the dirt, stuff happens. How did it shoot? I've kind of let off with that already. It shot fantastically for the most part. I mean, as soon as I started shooting it, it was just like, I was just giggling. I was like, my gosh, this is so fun. And I was using like light base, like cheap 12 gauge ammo. I ran through like 4 boxes of that. And then I went to a high powered pheasant load. I went through 5 boxes of that. And then I went through box after box of buckshot, and it was all 100%. And I was just laughing. I was like, this is how a combat competitive shotgun should work. It should just operate without any fiddling around. Then I got to slug shooting, which you'll see an inset, or I'll just break, abruptly infield, which I do in these videos, and you can see it. But I was surprised to see a couple jams with full power federal buckshot, not S&B, but full power. And it just jammed. And I was like, excuse me? This is like backwards. It should be jamming with light bird loads, but not full power law enforcement grade. In this case, not buckshot, but slugs. And it jammed. I had 3 jams. Why? I really couldn't tell you. What I did is I grabbed my WD-40. Oh my gosh, you put WD-40? Hell yeah, WD-40 is fine. And time is of the essence. I was going to take it down and put like synthetic, I use like a synthetic Mobile 1 as my thick viscous lubricant. And I had it, but I was like, nah, I'll just shoot it. And after that, I ran 5 more boxes through it and it was 100%. And I did not 5 boxes of slugs, because slugs are, number one, hard to get, and they are extremely expensive. So I cannot shoot a ton of slugs. I don't know if my shoulder can take it either. I was all black and blue from the testing, by the way. So it was mostly reliable. I had 3 jams and probably a total, I didn't keep track of the rounds. It's just box after box. I ballparked it, 350, 400 rounds shot out of this thing. I don't know. All I know is I was spending like hours picking up the shells from Wolfman's property out there. So would I buy this gun? Absolutely. I would buy a Beretta 1301. Would I send it to Langdon Tactical, or would I source a gun from Langdon Tactical, which they do sell for $2,150 or so dollars? Probably no. Now, let me balance this out, as I'm not going to criticize Robert for doing this, because this is a highly second cool shotgun, and it's highly first cool. It's that perfect balance, really. So I don't fault him for doing this at all. I'm just saying, for my money, probably no. I think an out-of-box Beretta 1301 tactical or comp would serve you very well. Very well. Now, let me get to this rear sight and how I put that on. So Robert did a great job of sending me everything that he got with the gun. So it all came in the case. So here's a choke right there. And strangely, Langdon, I don't think Robert did this, but Langdon had like the full choke installed, or like it was one more constriction above modified. Yeah, so this one was installed and I was shooting this one. But then I went to slugs. I was like, well, I don't want that much constriction. I didn't have an IC and improved cylinder. I had the modified, so I put the modified in. He had this rear sight on it, and I don't know if this from Langdon or where this came from. That was on the gun. So it's kind of a U rear sight, and I absolutely hated this thing. It was awful. And it was rotating. You can see the wings rotate on it, and it was just total bullshit. So I was like, oh my gosh, I hate this thing. Now the front sight blade was fantastic, but I was like, man, I wish I had a ghost sight. I literally said that on camera. I started digging through his things, and what do you know? He had the ghost sight, again, probably the Beretta stock one. And so I took some moments to install it, which you're going to see via GoPro video. And there's another pick rail he had on it, but this doesn't need the pick rail. I think that's a Beretta stock rail, by the way. Here's your shims and spacers for the stock. I installed that ghost ring and life was good. And then I actually had to drive, the time I spent on the shotgun review, holy cow. I had to drive 10 miles back to a storage facility where I could use my bore sighter to laser bore sight the shotgun. I'll show you that as well. No kidding, I did that. Why? Because I didn't want to spend like money on slugs time, zeroing it. I probably should have. I had to go back for another reason too. It wasn't just for the laser bore sighting. But yeah, I do use a laser bore sighter for shotgunning. Blah, blah, blah. Then I drove all the way back. There's that gas I'm talking about. And I shot it, and it was right on the money with slugs. I mean, right on, hitting hard. It knocked the target over twice. And you might see me resetting it and probably cussing a little bit. There you go. Now, the patterning, I think, of double-aught buckshot, and it was Federal variety. You're going to see, I don't have the paper, it's actually the cardboard with me. I'll show it to you in field. And it was excellent. I mean, it was nice and tight, no problems noted whatsoever. Really liked it. I mean, I love this shotgun. I really do. The stoppages, I'm not super worried about. I've had some stoppages in my FNSLP. I had them in the Mossberg 930, 940. I've had them in the Stoeger M3000. Coming on camera, by the way, and that is a competitive option. Now, this is a fantastic shotgun. I've sold some TNPPers on it. It's made in Turkey. This is a Stoeger stock competitive option, M3000 12 gauge combat shotgun, and it is fantastic. There's another great charging handle. Comes with a pick continue rail. This is a 7+1 inertia powered shotgun, if I remember right. 922R compliant, of course. Who cares about that? 6 pounds, 14 ounces on this bad boy. And there's that configuration of stock that I just like. It's a standard stock with really good checkering. I haven't done anything to this gun. Nothing. And this is a cast member. I totally bought it from Gunny's, a great American gun store. Thank you, Gunny's, for your kind support. Great trigger. I think the carrier and the loading port on the Stoeger is probably a step behind this one. I think the one on the Beretta is much better. Competitive option. I talked about the 930, 940. I don't have them here in the bunker. This really isn't a competitive option, but this is an AR-12. So this is a VR-60 and Dara Arms VR-60. It's the one gun that I've shot that was reliable with the wide variety of loads. It's a machine. It's very inexpensive. Is it combat worthy? You have to watch that review, and I talk about it there. And you can see I applied the skateboard tape here, clear skateboard tape to give this sucker some traction. But for the money, it's recommended. That's a nice gun. But I congratulate Beretta for having an outstanding semi-automatic shotgun in their lineup. I think Langdon Tactical is doing some good work. I dinged them a little bit for this. This is minor. But do Loctite your stuff. Come on, guys. That's simple, simple, simple. They have great taste from what I can tell, because everything that is modified on their 1301s that are full up is very tasteful and functional. It just doesn't look good. It adds to the functionality, like a longer grasping surface, better sighting options to the gun. So there you go. Thank you. Thank you very much. I love this gun. I really enjoyed shooting it. I could actually go out next week and shoot it for many more sessions and just be laughing and grinning the whole time. I just love it. And more importantly, it's a gun that it will give you high confidence when you have to shoot some communist chipmunks or something else that will not leave you alone and you don't have any other options. This is the Nut and Fancy Project, another fun combat 12 gauge shotgun review brought to you by the donors. Become a donor, stay there for the rest of your life, I kindly ask. Before I leave, my watch is a Swatch Big and Bold series. That's called the Escape Desert, and that's super cool camouflage strap. I have a Series 8 on this wrist. Yes, I still do that, and it's awesome. The airplane of choice is an Aggressor F-16 in 1/72nd scale.
All right, buddy.
This is an 84th Aggressor Squadron in 2015, I believe. This is their Block 25 F-16C. in a very rare, very cool, mimicking Russian Su-27s and Su-30s fighter jets. I wish the Air Force would paint their aircraft like that. It's really cool. That's there. And then in the background, we got some very full, traditional, original series Star Wars stuff like that freaking awesome AT-AT Walker, Slave 1 back there, AV-8B, and a lot more stuff. There we go. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. Thank you so much. So much more content to come. The best days of TNP, believe it or not, are still coming your way. We'll see ya.